Hey, my beautiful people. We are back again with another interesting one. The beautiful lie. The most beautiful house in the street of Onitsha looked like something from a magazine. It was white with soft grey shuttles. The grass was always cut short. Bright flowers lined the walkway. On warm evenings, the porch light glowed softly, making the house look warm and welcoming. People often slow their cars just to look at it, and almost every evening they saw the same thing. Ikenna standing at the front of the door, smiling, and beside him his wife Nene. Ikenna would place his hand gently on Nene's back. He would open the car door for her. Sometimes he would tuck a strand of her hair behind her ear. Drive safe, he would say warmly. Nene would smile, always smiling. To anyone watching, they looked deeply in love. Ikenna adores her. The neighbors said, "He is such a gentleman." Nene never corrected them. Inside the house, things were different. No one knew that yet. Not even Nene fully understood what was going on, because at first it had not been like this. Before Onitsha Street, when Nene first met Ikenna, he was charming. He listened carefully when she spoke. He remembered small details about her favorite books, her favorite songs. He brought her coffee just the way she liked it. 2 sugars and a little milk. He made her feel chosen, special. When he proposed, he said, "I will protect you forever." At that time, it sounded romantic. She did not know that sometimes protection can slowly turn into control. The first change was small, almost invincible. They had just moved into the house in Onitsha Street. Nene was excited. She wanted to invite her old college friend Ola to visit. Ikenna smiled at first. "Of course," he said. But later that evening, his mood shifted. "I don't like the way she looks at you," he said quietly. Nene laughed. "She is my friend," Ikenna said. "I know. I just don't trust her." Nene felt confused, but she loved him, so she cancelled the visit. It seemed like a small sacrifice for love. Small sacrifice. Then came more small sacrifices. Ikenna didn't like her wearing certain dresses. "They are too revealing," he said. He didn't like her working late. "You don't need that job. I earn enough for the family." He didn't like her talking on the phone for too long. "Who needs that much conversation?" he would say. Each request sounded reasonable. Each one felt small. But together, they slowly built a wall around Nene's life, and she did not even notice the wall was growing. The first time Ikenna lost his temper, it shocked her. Dinner was served late, only by 15 minutes. Ikenna came home tired from work. He sat at the table. He looked at the clock. His jaw tightened. "You know I hate waiting," he said. "I am sorry," Nene replied quickly. Traffic was bad at the store. He stood up suddenly. The chair cracked loudly across the floor. "You always have excuses." The sound of his voice was different, hard and cold. Nene felt her stomach twisting. "It won't happen again," she whispered. For a moment, they stared at each other in silence. Then Ikenna sighed deeply and ran his hand through his hair. "I am stressed," he said. "You know that I just need things to be done the right way." He pulled her into a hug. His voice softened. "I love you. Don't make me angry again." Nene held him tightly. She told herself it was just stress. Everyone loses their temper sometimes, right? Over time, Nene learned something strange. She learned how to smile on command. When neighbors waved, she smiled. When Ikenna praised her in public, she smiled. When someone said, "You two are perfect together," she smiled the widest. She practiced in the bathroom mirror sometimes. A gentle smile, a happy smile, and a proud wife smile. She became very good at it. Across the street, an old man named Mazi Okolo often sat on his porch reading newspapers. He had lived in Onitsha Street for 30 years. He noticed things. He noticed that Nene rarely walked alone. He noticed that Ikenna answered questions for her before she could speak. He noticed that sometimes, late at night, raised voices drifted through the air. But when he saw them the next day, they looked calm, smiling, perfect. So he said nothing. One evening, there was a loud crash inside the White House. A glass shattered against the kitchen wall. Iken had accused Nene of moving an important document. I didn't touch it, she said softly. You must have, he shouted. I swear I didn't, Nene replied. He then struck his hand on the counter very hard. The glass fell and broke. The sound echoed through the house. For a second, Nene felt something new, not just fear, but awareness. This was not normal. Still, when Ikenna later apologized and brought her flowers, she accepted them. I don't know what comes over me, he said. I just love you so much. Nene nodded, but that night, as she lay awake staring at the ceiling, a question entered her mind. If love feels like fear, is it really love? In Onitsha Street, weekends were special. Neighbors trimmed edges. Children rode bicycles. The smell of grilled food filled the air. And almost every Saturday afternoon, Ikenna and Nene walked hand in hand down the street. Ikenna always waved first. A beautiful day, he would say. Nene walked beside him, quiet and graceful. If someone complimented her dress, Ikenna would smile proudly. She has great taste, he would say. I helped her choose. The people would laugh kindly. They thought it was sweet. But Nene knew the truth. Yes, he did choose the dress, but it wasn't Nene's choice. One warm evening, the neighbors organized a barbecue. Tables were placed in the middle of the street. Music played softly. Laughter filled the air. Ikenna stood near the grill, flipping burgers like a professional chef. Nene stood beside Mazi Okolo's wife, helping her arrange the plates. You are lucky, Mazi Okolo's wife said kindly. Ikenna is such a caring husband. Nene forced a smile. Yes, she answered softly. On the other side, Ikenna was telling a story. Everyone laughed loudly. Nene watched him. He looked happy, confident, and kind. It was like watching a stranger wear her husband's face. Later that evening, a neighbor asked Nene, do you still paint? I remembered you mentioning you love art. Nene's eyes brightened a little. Yes, Ikenna suddenly stepped in. She used to paint, he corrected smoothly. But she realized it wasn't very practical. The neighbor nodded. That is understandable. Nene's excitement faded. She had not decided to stop painting. Ikenna had told her it was a waste of time and that paint was expensive, that art did not bring money. So she packed her brushes into a box. She had not opened that box in a very long time. When the barbecue ended, they walked back to the White House. The moment the front door closed, the air changed. Ikenna's smile disappeared. Why were you talking about painting? He asked calmly. I wasn't, Nene replied carefully. Mrs. Okolo just asked. You made me look foolish, Ikenna added. Her heart dropped. I didn't mean to. You should think before you speak. His voice was low but sharp. Nene stared at the floor. I am sorry. Nene did not know when the marriage rules changed, but there were so many rules that she didn't understand right now. Ikenna continued, do not disgrace me in public. 2. Do not talk long to neighbors. 3. Do not mention old hobbies. 4. Do not question my decisions. 5. Do not forget my dinner. 6. Do not upset me. The list lived in Nene's mind. She followed it carefully because when she followed the rules, the house stayed quiet, and quiet was better than storms. One afternoon, while cleaning the bedroom, Nene noticed something strange. Ikenna's desk drawer was locked. It had never been locked before. Curious, she gently pulled on it, and it didn't open. A small wave of fear moved through her. Why would he lock a drawer? When Ikenna came home, she asked softly, why is your drawer locked? His eyes changed instantly. Why were you touching my desk? I was dusting, Nene replied. You are snooping. No, Ikenna added. Don't you trust me? The question shook Nene. I trust you. Then don't question me. The conversation ended there. But that night, Nene could not sleep. Something felt wrong, very wrong. A few days later, Ikena came home irritated. Work had not gone well. Nene could feel it the moment he stepped inside. She moved carefully. She spoke softly, but when she accidentally dropped a plate, it shattered on the kitchen floor. The sound was sharp and sudden. Ikena reacted without thinking. He grabbed her arm hard, too hard. Nene gasped. His fingers pressed into her skin. For a moment, his face looked unfamiliar. His eyes were dark and distant. Then he released her. They both stared at the red marks forming on her arms. Silence filled the room. Ikena stepped back. I didn't mean to do that, he said quickly. Nene's arms was wounded. It's okay, she whispered automatically, but it wasn't okay. Later, when she looked in the mirror, she saw the bruises beginning to form. Small but real. She wore long sleeve over it so that no one would see. That evening, Mazi Okolo noticed something. Nene was watering the plant in long sleeves, even though it was hot. She moved slowly, carefully. Ikena stood behind her on the porch, watching, not smiling. Mazi Okolo frowned. Something felt wrong, but he wasn't sure what it was, and so, like many others, it is none of my business. That night, Nene lay in bed awake. Ikena was asleep beside her. She stared at the ceiling. Her arm hurts. But more than that, her heart hurts. She remembered the woman she used to be. She used to laugh loudly. She used to paint bright colors. She used to feel free. When had all of that changed? A small thought whispered inside her mind. This is not how love should feel. The thought of everything that was going on scared her. Because once you see the truth, you cannot unsee it. The most noticeable house in Onisha Street still looked perfect. The flowers still bloomed. Outside, the porch lights glowed warmly. The house still looked perfect, but inside, the cracks were growing wider. Something had changed. Nene could feel it. It was like living in a room filled with smoke. You could still breathe. You could still see, but something was wrong, and it was getting worse. Ikena began coming home earlier. I want to spend more time with you, he said, but it did not feel like love. It felt like inspection. He noticed every little thing that was wrong in the house. He noticed when the pillows were not in the right places. He knew when the floor was not properly cleaned. You seem distant lately, he said one evening. I am not, Nene replied softly. You are. His eyes studied Nene carefully. You have been thinking too much. The words felt strange. Is it wrong to be thinking? Nene asked herself. One afternoon, Nene's phone rang. It was her sister, Oluchi. Nene hesitated before answering. She had not spoken to Oluchi in weeks. Nene, I miss you, Oluchi said warmly. Nene felt tears rise quickly. I missed you too. They spoke only a few minutes. Nene laughed once, just once. She had almost forgotten how it feels to laugh. But when she turned around, Ikena was standing in the doorway, listening. Her smile disappeared immediately. After she hung up, he walked slowly toward her. You seem very happy, he said quietly. I was just talking to Oluchi, she answered. You didn't tell me she called? It just happened. His jaw tightened. I don't like secrets. It wasn't a secret. She just called me, Nene replied. His voice grew cold. You are my wife. I should know everything you are doing. Everything? That word echoed in Nene's mind. He reached for her phone. Give it to me. She hesitated for half a second. That half second changed everything. His hand grabbed her wrist sharply. Don't hesitate with me. Her heart pounded loudly. I am sorry, she whispered again. But this time, the apology felt different. It felt empty. A few days later, Nene found something unexpected. Ikena had left in a hurry that morning. In his rush, he forgot to lock his desk drawer. Nene stood in the bedroom staring at it. Her heart beat fast. She knew she should not open it. But something inside her needed to know why Ikena was locking his drawer. Slowly, she pulled the drawer open. Inside were papers, bank statements she had never seen, letters she did not recognize, and a small notebook. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside the note, she saw her name was written at the top of the page, and many other things like too emotional, talks too much, needs discipline, must limit contact with others. Nene felt the room spin. Discipline? The word felt cold and sharp. This was not anger from stress, she said to herself. This is control, carefully planned control. Her breathing became shallow. She closed the notebook quickly and pushed the drawer shut. Her hands were shaking. She was not imagining it right. She was not too sensitive, she asked herself. This is real. That evening, Mazi Okolo was outside again. He noticed Nene taking out the trash. She looked pale. Her steps were slow. When she saw him watching, she gave a small wave. But this time, she did not smile. Instead, her eyes looked tired, very tired. Mazi Okolo felt a heavy feeling in his chest. He remembered his own sister years ago, trapped in a bad marriage. He had ignored the signs then. He told himself it wasn't in his place to interfere. Now, he is regretting why he didn't interfere in his sister's marriage. He watched Nene disappear back inside the house. And for the first time, Mazi Okolo thought, maybe it is in my place to ask. That night, Ikena discovered something. He noticed the drawer slightly moved. He noticed the notebook was not in the exact position he left it. His face became still, too still. At dinner, he was quiet, too quiet. Nene felt it. The storm was coming, she said to herself. After dinner, he placed the notebook on the table. Her stomach dropped. Did you open my drawer? He asked calmly. Nene wanted to lie or denied it, but something inside her refused. Yes, she said softly. The silence that followed was heavy. Why? He asked. I wanted to understand. Understand what? Why did you treat me like this? His hand slammed against the table. The sound made Nene jump. I treat you perfectly. No, Nene whispered. The word no hung in the air like something dangerous. For a moment, Ikena looked shocked, then furious. You are ungrateful, he said. I gave you everything. I never asked to be controlled, Nene replied. The words left her mouth before she could stop them. His face darkened. He stepped closer. Nene's heart pounded loudly in her ears. For a second, she thought he might lose control completely. But instead, he leaned in close and spoke softly. You need me, he said. Without me, you are nothing. The sentence cut deep into Nene's heart. He walked away, leaving Nene standing alone in the kitchen. Then she asked herself, am I really nothing? You mean I've been nothing all this while? She thought about her paintings. She thought about her sister. She thought about how she laughed loudly. She thought about the woman she used to be. No, I am not nothing, she whispered to herself. That night, Nene did not cry. She did not apologize. She lay awake staring at the ceiling. But something had changed. The fear was still there. But now it was mixed with something else, clarity. Ikena did not love her at all. He wanted to own her. And ownership does not mean you love the person. For the first time, she thought about leaving the marriage. The idea felt impossible, but it also felt like air entering her lungs after being under the water for a long time. Outside, the house remained quiet. The porch light still glowed, but inside, the truth had finally opened its eyes. And once the truth wakes up, it does not go back again. The next morning, the street looked peaceful. Birds sang. Cars passed quietly. The sun shone softly on the White House. From the outside, nothing had changed, but inside, Nene felt different. She moved around the kitchen slowly, thinking. Ikena had already left for work. He had not said much before leaving. Just a short, cold, I will be home early. The sound of that made Nene nervous. As she was washing the dishes in the kitchen, she stared at her reflection in the kitchen window. You need me. Without me, you are nothing. Those words kept thundering in Nene's head. It kept repeating in her mind. But this time, something inside her answered back. That is not true. The voice was small, but it was there. Mazi Okolo sat on his porch holding his newspaper as usual. He was not reading it. He was watching the White House. He had not slept well the other night. The memories of Nene's tired eyes would not leave him alone. He remembered his sister again. She had smiled in public too. Until one day, she disappeared. Mazi Okolo folded his newspaper slowly. If something is wrong, he muttered to himself, I won't ignore it this time. He stood up and walked toward the street. Nene was outside, hanging laundry. Their eyes met. She looked surprised. He gave her a small wave. Good morning, Nene. Good morning, she replied softly. He walked a little closer, but not too close. You've seemed quiet lately, he said gently. Is everything all right? The question was simple, but Nene felt her chest tightened. She looked at the ground. Yes, everything is fine. The automatic answer. Mazi Okolo studied her face carefully. He noticed the long sleeves again. He noticed how quickly she glanced toward the house, as if afraid someone might appear. He nodded slowly. Then he said kindly, well, if you ever need help with anything, I am right across the street. Help? That word stayed in Nene's mind long after Mazi had walked away. That afternoon, Nene did something she had never done before. She took some money from the grocery jar, only a small amount, then walked to the corner store 2 streets away. Her hands were shaking. She bought a cheap, simple phone. She paid in cash. The store man didn't even look at her. But Nene felt like everyone could see her secret. When she got home, she hid the phone inside an old shoebox at the back of her closet. Her heart pounded loudly. She had never hidden anything from Ikenna before. It felt dangerous, but it also felt powerful. For the first time in a long while, she had something that was truly hers. That evening, Ikenna came home earlier than expected. Nene had the car door slammed. Her stomach tightened. He entered the house quickly. Why were you not answering your phone? He asked immediately. Nene blinked. My phone? Yes, I called you twice, he replied. She reached into her pocket and showed him a regular phone. It was on silent. I was cleaning. He stared at her for a long moment. Suspicion filled his eyes. You seem different lately. How? Nene asked. Less afraid, he replied. Those words froze Nene. Should I have been afraid of you? She said to herself. I am just tired, she replied quickly. He stepped closer. I don't like changes. I don't like controlling you. The sentence sent a chill through her body. Control? There it was again. Not love, but Ikenna had always wanted to control her. That night, a loud noise woke Mazi Okolo. It was after midnight. He sat up in bed and listened carefully. Raised voices drifted faintly through the quiet streets. He didn't hear what they were saying, but he could hear anger. He got out of bed and walked to the window. The White House lights were on. Shadows moved behind the curtains. Suddenly, he heard a crash. The sound echoed through the quiet street. Mazi Okolo's heart raised. He picked up his phone. His finger rolled over the emergency number. He hesitated. What if he was wrong? What if it was just an argument? Then he remembered his sister again. He pressed the call button. Inside the house, the storm was worse than ever. Ikenna had accused Nene of changing. You are hiding something, he shouted. I am not, she said. But her voice was shaking. You think you can stand against me? Ikenna asked. No. The arguments grew louder. A lamp fell and broke. Nene backed away. Her heart pounded loud and hard that she thought it might burst. Ikenna stepped forward. Then suddenly, there was a knock at the door. 3 firm knocks. Ikenna froze. The knocking came again. Police, a voice called from outside. Silence filled the room instantly. Ikenna looked at Nene. His face changed. The anger disappeared. In seconds, he became calm. controlled. He opened the door. Two officers stood outside. "We received a noise complaint," one said politely. Ikena smiled warmly. "Oh, I am sorry. We dropped a lamp. My wife is a little clumsy sometimes." Nene felt her cheeks bone. The officer looked at her. "Madam, are you all right?" The question hung in the air. Nene's heart pounded. This was a moment she could say the truth, a dangerous moment. Ikena's eyes were on her, watching, as if he was warning her of something. She swallows her saliva. "Yes," she answered quickly. "It was just an accident." The officers looked uncertain, but without a proof, there was little they could do. They left. Ikena closed the door slowly. The smile disappeared. He turned toward her. "You embarrass me," he said softly. The softness was more frightening than shouting. Nene realized something important in that moment. If she stayed silent, nothing would change. If she spoke too soon, she could be in more danger. She needed to be smart, she needed to be careful, and she needed to be patient. Later that night, after Ikena slept, Nene went to her closet. She opened the shoebox and brought out the small phone. She turned it on. The tiny screen lit up in the darkness, a small light. But as you may know, even small lights can guide someone out of darkness. She did not call anyone yet. She just saved one number, her sister's number, Oluchi. Then she saved another, Mazi Okolo's number. Her hands were still shaking, but her mind felt clearer than ever. "I am not nothing, and I am not alone," she whispered to herself. Outside, the street was quiet again, but the watching eyes of Mazi Okolo was now awake, and the next storm would not pass easily. After the night that the police came, everything changed. Ikena did not shout as much. That was what made it worse. He became quiet, careful, and watching. Nene could feel his eyes on her even when he said nothing. One evening, as he was watching TV, he said, "You wouldn't be the one that called the police, right?" Staring at the television. "I didn't," Nene replied. "Good," he answered calmly, "because if you ever try to ruin this marriage, you will regret it." The word regret stayed in Nene's mind, but so did something else. Help had come once, so it will come again. Nene began to plan carefully. She used the hidden phone only when Ikena was in the shower or asleep. She texted her sister Olushi. Just simple messages at first. "Are you home these days? I miss you. Can I visit soon?" Olushi responded quickly. "Of course. Are you okay? You sound different." Nene did not explain anything yet, not over the text, but she made a quiet decision. She would leave. She just needed the right moment. Ikena felt the distance growing. He started coming home even earlier. He checked Nene's regular phone often. He asked questions. "Where did you go today? Why did you take so long at the store? Who were you talking to outside?" Nene answered all of his questions calmly. But inside, her fear was changing. It was no longer helpless fear. It was now focused fear. The kind that makes you prepare. One afternoon, she quietly packed a small bag and hid it in the back of her closet. Just a few clothes, important documents, and a little money. Her hand trembled as she was zipping the luggage, but she said to herself, "This is real." The final storm came on a Tuesday night. Ikena had found something. He discovered that Nene had taken some amounts of cash over the weeks. Not much, but enough. At dinner, he was silent, too silent. Afterward, he placed the grocery jar on the table. "Why is money missing?" he asked. Nene felt her heart pound. "I don't know." He leaned closer. "Don't lie to me." She stayed quiet. His voice grew louder. "You think you can leave?" The word leave hung in the air like lightning before thunder. He knew. Nene felt the room closing in. "I am not your prisoner," she said suddenly. The sentence surprised both of them. His face changed completely. "You belong to me." "No," Nene answered, strong. "I don't." The anger exploded. He stepped forward, grabbing her arm roughly. But this time, Nene did not freeze. With her free hand, she reached into her pocket, the hidden phone. She pressed the emergency call button. Ikenna did not notice anything at first, but then she heard little noise, faintly speaking. His grip loosened in shock. Nene pulled away and ran towards the front door. She flung it open. "Help!" she shouted into the night. Across the street, Mazi Okolo's porch lights turned on instantly. He had been watching for weeks, waiting. He stepped outside immediately. "I have called the police before," he shouted loudly, "and I am calling them again." Sirens began to echo in the distance. Ikenna stood frozen in the doorway. For the first time, his mask was completely gone. There was no neighbors to impress, no smiles, only the truth. The police arrived quickly. This time, Nene did not stay silent. When the officer asked, "Are you okay, madam?" she answered clearly and quickly, "No." And that one word changed everything. The neighbors watched as Ikenna was taken away. Whispers filled the streets of Onitsha. How could this be? They looked perfect. I never imagined. But Mazi Okolo did not look surprised at all. He only looked relieved. Nene stood on the porch shaking. This time, it was not from fear, but from a relief. The house behind her no longer felt like home. It felt like a cage she had finally escaped. Olushi arrived later that night to take her away. As Nene stepped into her sister's car, she did not look back. The end. My people, this is where I will drop the talking drum for today. The moral lesson of this story is, please, my sisters and brothers, watch well before you enter. Do not get enticed by charming words, sweet talks. If there is anybody that is going through such a thing in marriage like Nene did, please speak out now that it is not yet late. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the story, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Press the notification bell so you get notified each time we post an interesting one like this. Like, share, and comment. Bye.